Okay, guys, I have some sad and disappointing news to deliver to you on Friday's edition of Everything Yesterday this morning. Unfortunately, this is going to be my last episode of this show. I think that it's probably just a good idea for me to go ahead and walk away from it. So I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in um, and listened and watched. And I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. Um, and then I'm going to have something a little special for you at the end since this is my last episode. So, starting off, India's government is considering a proposal from Russia to use a system developed by the Russian central bank for bilateral payments, according to people with knowledge on the matter, as the Asian nation seeks to buy oil and weapons from the sanctions hit country. The plan involves a rupee ruble denominated payment using Russia's messaging system, SPFS. This is in response to the removal of Russia from SWIFT operations. Uh, no final decision has been taken, and the matter will probably be discussed when Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrives in India for a 2-day visit yesterday. So he's there yesterday and today. Russian central bank officials are likely to visit India next week to discuss the details. The Reserve Bank of India regularly meets with executives from its banking system to discuss matters including exposure to Russia and the risk of sanctions. India is keen to continue bilateral trade due to its dependency on Russian weapons and the prospect of buying cheaper oil as global prices surge. Prime Minister Modi's government has been pushing back against pressure from Western nations by arguing that arms purchases from Russia are needed to counter China's growing military assertiveness. Under the proposal, rubles will be deposited into an Indian bank and converted into rupees, and the same system will work in reverse, one of the people said. Undecided elements include whether the exchange rate will be fixed or floating. Russia also wants India to link its unified payments interface with their MIR payment system for seamless use of cards, I guess, that are issued by Indian and Russian banks because Visa and MasterCard have suspended their operations in the country. So, um, here's the thing. Do you guys remember yesterday when I told you that the American government has said they will find you, they will come for you if you're helping Russia? It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because India is one of our biggest allies in the Asian Pacific area. So I, this is one to watch. And the next part, here's the thing. I am not pro Russia. I've gotten some comments about me being supportive of the Russian government. That isn't what this is. It's twofold for me. Number one, the United States should stop meddling in other countries' business, period. We should stop being thinking that we're the arbiter of all things in the world. That's number one. Number two, um, this is war. The United States has declared war on Russia financially, 100%. And if you think that there's any other way to put that, you're wrong. Yesterday, Congress is trying to push through legislation to ban Russian gold, and it's 4 pages long. So they can move rapidly when it comes to fighting against Russia, but not fighting for their people. They could have written a 2 page bill that said, hey, we're fucking you guys over by locking in your house for 2 years. We're going to give you some of your own money back so that you're okay. And instead, now we're waging financial war against countries all over the world. It's insane. Um, but there's a large amount of underestimation going on. The next article is indicative of that. Contrary to expectations that Vladimir Putin was bluffing about collecting rubles in exchange for Russian energy exports, moments ago, which again, this is yesterday, a decree signed by the Russian president confirmed that that was not the case. According to Bloomberg, Putin said he signed a decree demanding payment in rubles for Russian gas supplies, which is set to begin today. According to the decree, while Russia will continue to supply gas at set volumes and prices, it will demand that buyers of gas open accounts in Russian banks and warned that Moscow can halt gas contracts if buyers don't pay in rubles. Additionally, new proceedings in euro and US dollar could be blocked, pushing what many viewed as a bluff to the edge. They do not want to give him credit for outsmarting them and outmaneuvering them. Putin said that active contracts will be halted if demands are not met and explained that the move is meant to increase settlements in national currencies. Putin's decree follows an earlier report in the Russian press that Gazprom was studying options of halting gas supplies to Europe amid ruble payment issues. It also follows comments from the Kremlin, which suggested that it would look into the idea from lawmakers to ask other nations to pay for a wider range of Russian exports in rubles. So eventually, my expectation is we're not just going to be talking about gas here, wheat, metals, uh, rye, barley, all of the things that we rely fertilizer. I could see this being pushed a step even further, and if that isn't in the mind of the people who do this, I don't know why they're in the positions that they're in. Indicating, oh wait, hold on. Yeah, indicating Russia's operational readiness to follow through with the plan. Interfax adds that Putin has ordered for special accounts for gas payments to be opened at Gazprom Bank, which will sell gas FX on a Moscow exchange. In knee-jerk response to the news, U.S. national gas prices spiked, perhaps in anticipation that much of U.S. output will now be LNG'd over to Europe, potentially creating a U.S. shortage in due course. Finally, now that it appears the ruble will have to be purchased by Western powers, the currency has completed its round trip to pre-invasion levels. So, it is important that as you're watching all of this unfold, that you don't allow the spin to get you. Um, China has imposed sanctions on U.S. government officials in retaliation for similar action taken against Chinese officials earlier this month. Wang Wenbin, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, did not name the American officials who have been blacklisted by Beijing, but said visa restrictions would be placed on those who had, quote, concocted lies about China's human rights record. The sanctions were to protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese officials, Wang said at a regular media briefing in China's capital on Thursday. The tit for tat move comes 10 days after Antony Blinken announced via the State Department punitive measures against individuals who the United States believed were responsible for human rights abuses and the suppression of religious freedom. The United States uses the pretext of so called human rights issues to concoct malicious lies and uses them as excuses to interfere in China's internal affairs. Smear China's image and suppress Chinese officials, said Wang. These actions have no moral bottom line and seriously violate international law and the basic norms of international relations. China firmly opposes this. In order to safeguard China's sovereignty, security, and developmental interests, and to protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese officials, China has decided to impose reciprocal visa restrictions on U.S. officials who concocted lies on human rights issues involving China. Um, so, this is, I mean, I don't know what kind of impact this has large scale, but it's interesting as China continues to meet with and have conversations with Russia and not denounce the war in Ukraine, that this is the type of language that's coming out and that they're playing, I guess, maybe defense and offense. I'm not sure. Okay, sorry. My allergies are acting up, so I've had to like pause recording and it's crazy. Okay. The Federal Reserve. Okay, I wanted to tell you guys, I've tried really hard. I know it's all like China, Russia, all that stuff. I'm trying not to inundate my show with that, but it's really hard as I'm reading through all of the news, that's a lot of what people are talking about. So, the Federal Reserve warns of brewing U.S. housing bubble. Home buyers have faced a tough proposition during the pandemic. Swallow rapid price increases and forego typical steps like house inspections, or risk getting left out of the real estate market. Those dynamics have caused some observers to question whether the United States is repeating the housing bubble of the early 2000s, which led to a painful housing crash in 2006 and the Great Recession the following year. The answer, warns the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, is that the market is showing signs of a brewing house bubble that may be unsettling to millions of potential homebuyers who are coping with a myriad of financial pressures. For one, mortgage rates are swiftly rising, reaching an average of 4.67% for a fixed 30-year loan for the week ending in March 31st, which is the highest since 2018. The national median listing price for a home has jumped to a record $405,000. To examine whether the current dynamics could reflect a bubble, the Dallas Fed economists dug into 3 different market metrics. Their conclusion, there are signs of a market tipping point first. The economists looked at a statistical model that tracks exuberance, or when prices increase at an exponential rate that can't be justified by economic fundamentals. When their exuberance measures reach a 95% threshold, that signals 95% confidence that the market is experiencing abnormal explosive behavior. The current exuberance measure is 115%. Next, the economists look at another measure of valuation, comparing home prices against the sum of discounted future rents. It's a similar concept to how investors determine the value of a stock by looking at the discounted future dividends, the economist noted. Third, the analyst examined the ratio of home prices to disposable income, another measure of housing affordability. This has not risen to the level of exuberance, but the economist noted that household disposable income was buoyed during the pandemic by stimulus checks, as well as a decrease in household spending due to lockdowns, transitory factors, in other words. So be on the lookout. I told you guys, I think like 2 weeks ago, as the Fed continues to raise interest rates, you're going to continue to see this housing market do things that many people weren't prepared for. So if you're wanting to buy or sell your house, you need to do it sooner rather than later. Mitt Romney suggests cutting retirement benefits for younger Americans. I guess there's a vexing question about how the U.S. is going to cope with its aging population, suggesting that retirement benefits may have to be cut for younger Americans. In comments to the Senate Budget Committee on Wednesday, the Republican senator from Utah, who I voted for, but don't tell anybody, said that spiraling costs of retirement programs had to be tackled to bring national debt under control, which he's right. Romney raised the politically controversial idea of cutting benefits, but only for younger generations before they reach retirement age. For younger people coming along, we got to be able to find a way to balance these programs, or we're going to find ourselves in a heap of trouble, he said. He added that he was not in favor of raising taxes as a way of balancing the books, but was open to adjusting long-term benefits not for current retirees. Romney's remarks, first reported by Business Insider, open a can of worms often avoided by members of Congress, given its intense political sensitivities. The programs in question include 2 of the most popular benefits in the country, Social Security and Medicare, which makes up more than 40% of government spending. So, with that being said, I am in favor of this concept. We do away with this program if you no longer charge younger individuals and you refund them whatever they have contributed up to this point in time. If it's a program that we're not going to be able to take advantage of, then we should not get the money that we should get back the money that we have invested into that program. That is my only caveat in this. I want a full fucking refund. The backdrop to the issue is America's aging population. By 2034, projections, Projections suggest there will be 77 million Americans aged 65 and older, more than the projected 76.5 million under 18. That means that for the first time in US history, older people will outnumber children. That same year, 2034, the trust fund for Social Security is expected to run out, leaving the US government struggling to make full benefit payments. The looming deadline is a reflection of the intense and rising pressure on Social Security and Medicare given long term funding shortfalls. House Republicans propose raising the eligibility age for Medicare from 65 to 69 and Social Security from 67 to 69. But in his Build Back Better plan, Joe Biden sought to protect and even extend the programs, adding hearing coverage to Medicare. The bill passed the House but was stalled in the Senate. I've already given my piece on this, so I'm going to move on to the next subject. So, something crazy happened in my state yesterday. So, in Indiana, scientists, there was this huge, massive boom that was heard, and it was caught on. If you watch or read this article, you'll be able to see the video. There's like a firehouse and a construction company that caught the sound on cameras or whatever. And it was this huge, what sounded like an explosion. It was a huge boom. It was heard across several counties in Indiana. It was caused by, scientists believe that the boom was caused by a meteor explosion. Scientists at Purdue University watched surveillance videos that captured the noise and believe the boom can be attributed to what's called an airburst. Essentially, when a meteor is entering the atmosphere, it will essentially explode in the atmosphere and they can make a loud boom. Purdue planetary scientist Brandon Johnson said, it's likely similar to the airburst that happened in the skies over Chelyabinsk, whatever the fuck the name of that city is, in Russia back in 2013. That incident lit up the sky and caused major damage on the ground. If it was big enough to make that loud of an explosion, it should be seen. But it was a pretty cloudy day, Johnson said. If there was enough cloud cover, it's possible that no one saw it, but it still did occur above the clouds. The boom was large enough to show up on seismic scales at IU, which is in Bloomington, and there was a significant pulse of seismic energy recorded on our instruments at 12:44 p.m. If this coincides with the timing of the reports, it is likely the result of the sonic disturbance experienced by local residents. The American Meteor Society said it took 2 reports of meteor sightings yesterday afternoon. One of those reports came in from Columbus, the other from Bloomington. Johnson said that if it was a meteor, it's like there's parts of it that made it to the ground. And he said there'll be small rocks with black coatings on them. So I think I'm going to go meteor hunting this weekend with my kids. Okay, so that is your edition of Everything Yesterday This Morning. And I was just kidding. I'm not actually quitting because it is April Fool's Day. So that was my April Fool's joke for you guys. I love you all. I hope you take care and have a great day. Tonight we'll be doing our live show on Twitter Spaces. So you're welcome to join us and talk about all things that are going on in the world today. You guys take care and have a great day.